And good morning. Don't see anybody logged in yet, but I will not wait. No, actually, I should wait. But seeing how this is being recorded, no need to wait. So I'm going to just start. And then if you guys chime in, great. If not, watch the video. But what I want to discuss today is more business ethics, graphic design ethics, the exciting topic of graphic design ethics, which actually is very exciting to me. I am learning so much in teaching this class. But basically, there's a couple of things, very pertinent, very important things to discuss. Hopefully, I posted this meeting here. Hold on just a sec. Let me just check here. I'm going to pause the video here for a sec. Okay, I just realized that, my apologies, I did not post this meeting. So I just did, and if you were out there, if you were trying to log in and didn't see a meeting posted, just to let you know, I just did post that. I had set it up, and I forgot to click publish, so my apologies for that. I guess I'll wait for you guys to chime in if you do. But anyway, I'm going to continue on, and as you come in, I'll see you. But yes, I did do that. Let me share my screen and go over here to this assignment. And yes, this meeting is posted. 296, okay. Alrighty. So let's get this out of the way. And get back up here. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is some things that I had talked about in the last class. I'm sorry, so unorganized this morning here. And I'm going to have you watch a video. For next Sunday's assignment is going to be another quiz over this video called The Social Dilemma. And The Social Dilemma is was actually a movie that was made by this fellow here, Tristan Harris, who was a former Google employee. And long story short is that he realized in his tenure at Google that Google was really, tech companies were really going in the wrong direction. And he got very disenfranchised with working for Google. And so he quit and he started this company called Humane Technology. And the whole purpose of Humane Technology is to bring awareness, bring social awareness to the public, to the world, on what is happening in social media, what is happening to us in social media, and how we are just being manipulated by all of the technology that is out there. And so he did a TED Talk. Well, it wasn't a TED Talk. He's done TED Talks before, but he did this talk to software engineers. And in that talk, he talked about how we as software designers have to be more responsible and have to really start understanding where this is all going. And it's kind of like this doomsday scenario that he's talking about how if we continue to go into the direction that we are, that, I mean, we're just going to obliterate ourselves. I mean, we're going to cease to exist as, as humanity. And we have downgraded our humanity so much to this point with our technology. I mean, it's kind of like, like kids with a new toy, I mean, you're playing with this new toy, but you're not thinking about what this thing can do. And, it's like you're doing things just because you can. And that's kind of what's happening. And then, all the people that are trying to monetize off of this technology are just, taking it to extremes, to the point where he's talking about, things like AI technology and how we're being fed YouTube videos and recommendations every time we watch a video. We're getting fed more and more videos, and we're clicking on them, and it's leading us down the dark path of where they eventually know that, we're going to be interested in, not that we believe in it, but that we're going to be interested in that. And so he talks about, a lot of this in this video here. This is not the movie Social Dilemma. That's a movie on Netflix that I really highly encourage you to watch. But this is more of a talk that he gave in, kind of explaining a lot of the concepts that were in that movie. So I want to play you some excerpts here while we're here. And I think I saw, okay, there you guys are. Let me just kind of click over here and say good morning. I apologize for not posting that that meeting. I had it all set up and I forgot to post it. So glad to see you here. And no, this is really I'm kind of really passionate about this. I saw the Social Dilemma movie, and it really hit home. These are things that are happening to us on a daily basis, and I'm sure a lot of us are conscious of this, but we're kind of fallen into this technology stupor where we continue to behave in the way that YouTube wants us to behave, and all of the social platforms are moving us. I mean, we just move in that direction. And what Tristan Harris is trying to say is that we as a society really have to start looking at, what's happening here. And this talk that he's giving is to software engineers. And the whole idea is he's kind of putting the onus on them to start really understanding what they're developing, the danger of the tools that they have. And it's not the tool itself, it's the way it's being used. And it's the way corporations are using this tool to manipulate us. And basically his term is downgrading humanity. So with that, let me move over to an excerpt of this. And I want to show you a couple of excerpts real quick, but I want you to watch this entire hour video. And I think you'll find it very interesting. But here's a few. Let me set up my sound here for a sec. First of all, let me ask you if you can hear this. Just let me set this up. I'm going to share the sound here. And I just want to know if you are able to hear this on your end. Okay, I'm going to play this right now, and I'll play it for like a few seconds.
And to do that, having seen everything you just saw, what is...
I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it, yeah.
I can't.
You can't hear it, Steven?
No.
Okay. How loud are you hearing this, Ruben?
The problem.
Moderately. It doesn't seem very loud. It seems like a
polarization, election manipulation, outrageification, vanityification, teens' mental health, bots. I'm going to claim to you that there's actually one thing that is driving all of these problems. And it has to do with something that E.O. Wilson said, which is that the real problem of humanity is that we have Paleolithic. Sorry, Paleolithic.
Then what I'm going to do is put my speakers on, put it on external headphones.
Emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology.
Okay, I'm going to move this over
Okay.
here.
This is, and to do that, having seen everything you just saw,
Okay, can you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what I'm just going to start it here and just play a little bit of this.
what is the problem in the tech industry? We've got tech addiction, polarization, election manipulation, outrageification, vanityification, teens' mental health, bots. I'm going to claim to you that there's actually one thing that is driving all of these problems. And it has to do with something that E.O. Wilson said, which is that the real problem of humanity is that we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. This is kind of the problem statement of humanity. Because while we have these ancient instincts, these Paleolithic ancient instincts, we've got exponential tech. And where I first got exposed to these Paleolithic instincts was actually as a kid, as a magician. Magic is kind of a study of the limits of these evolutionary features of our minds, right? You're looking at these evolutionary limits of our attention, distraction, menus, the limits of misdirection. These are the kind of features of the minds. And later as a technologist, learning how do you get into people's brains when you're designing software?
Okay, I want to stop it there for a sec. I'm going to move to another section here. But basically what he's saying is that the way we think is, from, kind of a Paleolithic standpoint. And yet technology is way beyond, technology doesn't think. It's never thought for us. But what it's doing is it's taking the way we think and it's mapping out patterns and feeding it back to us in terms of artificial intelligence. So it's not creating, it's just taking what's already there in our heads, and it's saying, okay, if this is the way you think, then this is what you might like. This is what might attract your attention. And that's the danger of the way the system is set up right now. Because it's not about, it's all about the clicks. It's all about, getting your attention and getting you to click on stuff. And through your clicks, they're mapping you and they're mapping your patterns. And so anyway, what he's saying is that what we really need to do is we need to start understanding, as software engineers, we need to start understanding human nature better. We need to understand how we think and what, the way we, and then design software programs and be responsible in not just feeding us what we want, but what's good for us, what truly improves our lives and is, socially responsible. Okay, let me jump over to this section here. And in this section, he's talking about how YouTube manipulates us. Let's see. Okay.
You're like, what the hell just happened to me? And it's because when you hit play on that YouTube video, what actually happens is that it wakes up a little avatar voodoo doll version of you. Inside of Google server somewhere, based on all your clicks, based on all your likes, based on everything you've watched and how that compares to the other voodoo dolls, we're building, like, those are like your nail clippings and hair filings, right? So all those clicks are just making this voodoo doll look and act more and more like you. And we don't have to manipulate you, because we just have to manipulate the voodoo doll. We test a bunch of videos on them, and we say, which one's going to keep you here the longest? And it's like playing chess against the chessboard of your mind. I'm going to win because I can see way more moves ahead on the chessboard. This is such now that YouTube's average watch time is more than 60 minutes a day on mobile. And it's because, specifically, of what the recommendation engines are putting in front of you, as said by the chief product officer at YouTube. And this has actually colonized our choice, because with over 1 billion hours on YouTube watched daily, 70% of those billion hours now are from the recommendation system. So the AIs are actually downgrading and overwhelming our free choice. So free will is being colonized. Okay. But
Now, that's a huge statement, that our free will is being colonized. We are no longer making the choice freely of what we want to watch. We are being manipulated into clicking recommendations that we're getting from these social media platforms. So that's really dangerous. We have the control, though. We do. But, the way we paleolithically think, is what he's saying, is that this is just natural for us. It's human nature to do this, to want to see, you see a car chase on TV, right? And we watch it, I mean, it's the stupidest thing to watch a car chase for an hour, and yet here we are, so involved in this. Okay, anyway.
then it's deciding what we believe and downgrading what we believe. Because if I'm YouTube, and imagine this is a spectrum, and on one side of YouTube you have the calm, Walter Cronkite, rational science, Carl Sagan side of YouTube. And the other side of the spectrum, you have Crazy Town. You have Bigfoot, UFOs, etc., right? If I'm YouTube and I want you to watch more, I've got the regenerative section, but I've got the extractive section. Which direction am I going to steer you if I want you to watch more? I'm always going to tilt it towards Crazy Town. You could start in the calm section, you could start in the crazy section, but if I want you to watch more, I'm always going to tilt you that way. And 3 examples of that, about a year ago, if you were a teen girl and you started on a dieting video, it would recommend anorexia videos, because those were the things that were better at keeping people's attention. If you were watching a 9/11 news video, it would recommend conspiracy theories about 9/11. It recommended Alex Jones 15 billion times. Just consider for one moment, 15 billion times Alex Jones is recommended to people. And if you were watching a NASA moon landing, it would recommend flat Earth. But it's not just the videos that it recommended. Also, and this is just taken from a week ago, from Guillaume Cheslow, the YouTube recommendations whistleblower. This is from a week ago. It's also polarized and changed the language that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So from a week ago, what are the most recommended keywords? Number 1, get schooled, shreds, debunks, dismantles, debates, rips, confronts, destroys, hates, demolishes, obliterates. So even if you solve fake news, this is kind of the background radiation of what a population the size of Islam is exposed to on a daily basis for 60 minutes a day. So now let's take a look at one of these examples. So what percentage of the results, if you look at flat Earth, for example, what percent of results were positively in favor of flat Earth? This is from data about 2 years ago. If you looked on Google search, the results were 20%. So 20% of the Google search results were in favor of flat Earth. If you looked on YouTube search, it was 35%. But if you looked at YouTube recommendations, it was 90%. So it's not like anybody wants this to happen. It's just that this is what the recommendation system is doing. So much so that Kyrie Irving, the famous basketball player, said he believed the Earth was flat, and he apologized later because he blamed it on a YouTube rabbit hole. When he later came on to NPR to say, I'm sorry for believing this, I didn't want to mislead people, a bunch of students in a classroom were interviewed saying, oh, the round earthers got to him.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Same with the vaccine, same thing that's happening. Once you implant these conspiracy theories, and the more we watch, the more we believe, then suddenly we are, like he says, down the rabbit hole, and very difficult to come out of it once we have this belief. So we can't go back. And okay, so that's the premise of this video, and I want you to watch this, and I think it's pretty clear how this becomes extremely ethical issues, not just in design. He's talking more to software engineers, but to move it, you can easily take this whole idea of downgrading humanity into the realm of graphic design, because any form of communication that you're involved in, whether it's visual communication or technology, we have to be aware of what is happening. Now, we live, and I say this, being the age that I am, we all live in this world. We live in the moment. We live today. Some of us, have seen a time before, and even you guys are old enough to know, before, because technology has evolved so quickly. It wasn't that long ago that, you were doing things that you're not doing today, that you look at and you go, wow, I can't believe, people think this way, or people are doing these things. But believe it or not, this is not anything new. This is something, and I want to go to a article here that was written by, I don't know exactly who it was written by, but he quotes some very seasoned designers of the past, of the 60s. And Milton Glaser, and Patty's a big fan of Milton Glaser, and so am I. He was a literal graphic design guru, and many people call him one of the geniuses of graphic design. He wrote a book, and this is a very famous book. It's called The 10 Things That I Learned in London in 2001. And what he says is, and what is so true, is that this article starts off, okay, by saying that to a doctor, the whole idea of ethics, and if we, again, define ethics as the standards of that industry or of that field, the whole ethics of a doctor is to keep a patient alive. Okay, they take the Hippocratic Oath. The same with an attorney. The attorney vows to represent you in the best way that they can. They vow to keep your information private, attorney-client privilege. No matter how damning it is to your case, they will never, that's their responsibility. It's part of professionalism. And we as graphic designers want to be thought of as professionals too. And so when you define professionalism is kind of a responsibility that we have towards our client. Okay, now look at what Milton Glaser says, though, about that. He says, graphic design is intrinsically unprofessional. What is required in our field more than anything else is a continuous transgression. Professionalism does not allow for that because transgression has to encompass the possibility of failure. Okay, now I want to explain to you what he means by that. First of all, transgression is simply we are being hired to create. Okay, at least we want to be thought of as creators rather than just, risks or doers. We are thinking people and we're coming up with ideas. Now, professionalism, means that I guarantee you that I will represent you. I will not give out your information. Attorney-client privilege. I guarantee you that I will do everything in my power to keep you alive, as a doctor would say. But as a graphic designer, we can't guarantee really anything. We are saying that we will do the best to represent your company, to come up with creative ideas, but there's no guarantee that they're going to succeed. It could fail, right? Any creative thought or idea could fail. There's no guarantees to that. So look what he says here. It says professionalism does not allow for that transgression because it has to encompass the possibility of failure. So that's why he says graphic design is intrinsically unprofessional in the sense that, failure is, a possibility in graphic design. At the same time, so that's really interesting, and it is true. We do everything that we can to come up with great ideas and great graphic design that communicates messages, but we can't guarantee it because creativity just can't be guaranteed. Another thing that's really an issue with us in terms of ethics is how, let's take, for example, an attorney, okay? Attorney follows the law. The law is the law. And my terrible example was that if you go through a stop sign, if you went through a stop sign in the 1950s, you would get a ticket. If you went through a stop sign today, you would still get a ticket because the law is the law. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, who knows, but you get the point, right? The law is the law, and it will always be the law. However, as a designer, you have to design with trends and with the way life goes. What might have been black 20 years ago is now white. And what was white 20 years ago is now black. Okay? It's not the same as, it's not a cut and dried field. Things change. People's ideas change. People's, you can see exactly what's happening. Now, Black Lives Matter is no different than the civil rights movement in the 60s or the women's rights movement in the 60s. It's the same thing. The trends have just moved. Okay? They moved out of that and they're coming back. Design has always been something that just is, a revolving, it's a revolving door. It all comes back. But what I'm saying is that, that poses a very ethical question to us. Because what we believe in 20 years ago, maybe we don't believe in today. Right? And I think a lot of our political unrest and strife right now is the fact that half of the country wants the country to be like it used to be. And half of the country is saying, no, we are moving on. This is the way this country should be. We need to take down these monuments. And half the country is saying, no, that's the history of our country. We should have these monuments. So as a designer, which way do we go? How are we going to navigate through a changing world when especially it starts getting very political? I think now, I don't know, but I would be ready to, we're all living in that world right now, but, Cindy brought up and I think it's okay to mention a fact that, you heard her last week about the interview that she went to, and how she was asked, a political question, obviously a political question about a president of a country. And, I don't know what the job was for, and she's not here today I was going to ask her, what was the job? What were you interviewing for? Because to me, that kind of question would be totally out of bounds unless it was a job for, a political job, a campaign job or someone that was involved in politics and, could understand that they might ask that question. But more and more, I would say be prepared for, them feeling you out in terms of your politics because it's just so red hot right now. You know, what kind of questions are they going to ask? I mean, you know, just in daily conversations with people, you can kind of see the politics just seeping out of people. I don't know if you see that in your daily life,
Yeah,
but I certainly do.
yeah. Well, I recently, this pandemic was obviously kind of like, affected everyone differently. But for myself, I was fortunate enough to like where I didn't have to worry about a job because of the Navy's paying for me to go to school and stuff like that. But so I have copious amounts of free time.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I gravitated towards social media for whatever reason, and I downloaded TikTok and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
after a while, I noticed myself like, I deleted TikTok and I've stopped going on social media recently. That's too much because, I'm not even kidding. I mean, it was legitimately an echo chamber of just whatever you want to think. There's people out there who are going to say the exact same thing, and it's really bad.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's they'll talk about the polarization and how politics gets into everything. On there, it's everything. Everyone, it's like either you're with us or you're against us,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
so black and white right now. And it's like it's really confusing because I come from. I come from a Mexican family, but like my family's still like generally conservative. But then I myself am a little more of a hippie, and then so like it's all I have values from both. But now it's like it's such a really weird time to be in, and so it was to the point where I was being almost consumed by social media because like TikTok you can swipe forever,
Hmm.
you can pick a video forever.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
just got to the point where I was like, you know what, dude, I'm done. I can't. I deleted it. I was like, I got deleted all that stuff, and then I was like, I had to like turn it off because it was getting to the point to where it was almost overwhelming.
Hmm. Hmm.
And but the politics gets into everything. Absolutely,
Uh,
it's insane.
yeah. Yeah. It's just so out of control. And again, you know, harking back to this video, I'm going to ask you guys to watch is that that's exactly what his company is trying to do. He's trying. It's a movement. It's called Humane Technology, and what he's trying to do is move software engineers into and corporations. You know, I mean, good luck with that. But
Right.
no, it starts from the ground up, and if enough people start really saying enough is enough. We got to stop doing this, otherwise we're going to destroy ourselves. I mean, you almost starting to see the seeds of that happening, and I mean, it can't go on. Now he's obviously a tech guy, and so he's not saying that we got to get rid of it, we got to ban it. What he's saying is that it can be redirected and reused and repurposed for good things, for things that, I look at AI and I look at these recommendations of YouTube, and it's kind of like a kid in a candy store. I mean, you're eating everything up, but you don't realize what it's doing to your body,
Mhm.
you know? And that's what he's saying. That's what his whole movement is about. It's like, okay, we did that, we've done that, and now we have to really start looking at, our humanity. It's gotten down to that point because technology is so dangerous. You know, it can move us because we have these paleolithical minds. You know, and I love that diagram he
Yeah,
had of
no.
the evolution of man, right? And we haven't evolved that much, really, in the way that we think. We're gatherers. We're food gatherers. We're tribal.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm only 26, and I completely and like I can remember a time where I didn't have a TV. My family didn't have a TV because TVs were a luxury that not everyone had.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the time when I remember those. I remember that I remember when my mom got her first cell phone. I remember that, and I remember my first cell phone. I was in high school when I got
Mm-hmm.
my first cell phone. I never before that I had video games, but that was like even then it's like I'm still really young and I'm able to recognize I was there with dial-up. Dial up is not that long ago, but the
Yeah.
advances we made in the past decade or two has been insane.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the difference between the 20s, the 40s, the 60s. It's not that big of a difference. You got a little bit of different, a little bit more here and there, and then 70s and 80s roll around and things just start picking up. 90s and early 2000s, and now we're freaking going full throttle. And
Yep.
now look at us. It was to the point to where on those social media, like I started to think it was feeding me things to where I was starting to think a certain way that was not how I was thinking. It was thinking for me essentially, and once I noticed that, I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to lose my individuality. I don't want to lose who I am as a person. I was like, because at the end of the day, I'm still a bag of bones, and I'm still a monkey with hair and fur. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's exactly what he's saying. And I've likened what's happening in this world to the game of tetherball, if you've ever played that, where the ball's on a string, and at the beginning of the game, there's a long string, and it takes a long time for the ball to wrap around the pole, but it starts wrapping around faster and faster until pretty soon it's over.
Mhm.
And we're kind of like at that towards the end of the game type, scenario. But yeah. Anyway, being a graphic design ethics class, I think that these are obviously and things that we have to talk about. Paul Rand, back here, wrote a essay called "The Politics of Design," and he said that what he said is that Paul Rand and a lot of designers of the 60s and 70s, even the 50s, 60s, and 70s, were really trying to make a case for designers to be involved in more than just art. And he would say that, even the designer that I work for would say that designers are not just, we're not just artists, and corporations have to involve us in the key decisions. So he says here, access to key decisions. That's what designers should be part of. And, and we should have a say. We are the ones that are the creative people. And it is not the expertise that corporations should have in visual appearance. That should be our expertise, and that is our expertise. And so that was some very, important breakthroughs back then for graphic design. And even to this day, we are contributing, thinking, breathing designers. And it's more than just the art. Neville Brody, though, on the other hand, who is a famous graphic designer of the past, back in, his quote is down here, or his section is down here, talked about Neville Brody here, Dean of the School of Communication of the Royal College of Art in England. He talked about how, back in his day, that designers came to this field to make beautiful design. And I think a lot of that too is why we all become graphic designers, because art is a big part of it. Colors and typography and layout and just seeing things. It's to a graphic designer, a magazine ad, if you will, not using that as shouldn't use that as an example, but a poster is a work of art. It's typography, it's photography, it's all of that. And that's what, attracted him to the design field. And frankly, that's what attracted me to being a graphic designer. But he said now he thinks that too much of it is about, kind of, marketing and branding. And, although those are really important in a capitalistic society, it's kind of lost, design has kind of lost its importance. And it's more about creating slogans and creating memorable brands that people are going to, remember and buy product. And, I think he has a point there. Carly and I always talk about how, the emphasis should still also be as much on art and design and layout and color. as opposed to, the Christos videos of, you got to be on social media, you gotta get hits, you got to get clicks, you got to sell stuff, and sometimes that takes, a lot of the fun out of design, out of graphic design, to work for a company that's all they care about in the end.
Yeah, and that's where the social dilemma comes in. I feel like, like on one hand, I'm like, you got to be careful with, I mean, all this, technology stuff. But on the other hand, it's like I have to compete to survive, and so it's like, how do I balance? It's like a balancing act of like, of working with this monster, that we kind of created.
Right, right. And how can we deal with, the Tristan Harris videos about how can we use technology in a humane way, and how can we use it for better? So if YouTube is recommending us videos every time we watch a video, why can't those videos be, more for the betterment of our, welfare, than just to get us to click more, and get us more riled up, you know? Uh, I mean, and it could be done. It could be done. They could take that same voodoo profile that they have of us, and they can use it in a much more humane way, rather than, tilting us towards things that tilting us toward the car chase, or tilting us toward the flat Earth and conspiracy theory, ideas. So just to get us to click, because they know we will, because we're, like you said, we're like Paleolithic, you know, subhuman animals, and we
And,
still kind of think that way.
what's so funny is I have a cousin. His name's Isaac. I'm not gonna go, but he is I mean, one of the smartest people I know. He's incredibly smart, especially when it comes to programming. He just has it. He's just a smart guy. But again, during this pandemic, he was on the social media and all that good stuff. And I mean, I'm not gonna get into detail, but I'm surprised he wasn't at the June 6th insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this fall fell way into there, and it's that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he started. I mean, I remember when because he started kind of talking about like general conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, oh, this looks a little bit odd, and then again, like the guy says, like that tilt
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, of just madness, and like now he's like literally, it's like he's like, I mean, lost in the sauce.
Right.
And I always hear like I have buddies that talk like, oh, bro, you hear about this conspiracy theory? I'm like, dude, I was like, be careful with that stuff, because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it's designed to keep you spiraling. I was like,
Yes.
like take a step back, and like, like it's incredible. Like my cousin who's a smart guy, like he's really smart. He's fallen for all of it. He's fallen. He's like, even though he's so smart, he's like I said, he had that Paleolithic
Mm-hmm.
mentality. You
Yeah.
know, it's almost like tribalism. It almost feels like, that's what it feels like right now.
Yeah. Tribalism is a big part of, why we've always been tribal. Humans have always been very, very tribal, and we gravitate to other people that think like us, basically. And unfortunately, in this country, what's happening is, we just have pockets of, tribes, you know. And I mean, this is the way it was before America was even discovered, with Indians, you know. And it was very tribal, it was very territorial, and we are still that way. And that's, this whole Paleolithical thinking, mind thinking. Um, but yeah, yeah, you can find anything you want to believe in on the internet. Um, there was a movie long ago called Wag the Dog, or yeah, Wag the Dog, with Robert De Niro. And in that movie, he says they stage a fake moon landing or something. I won't get into the movie, but basically they stage a fake moon landing, and they have in a warehouse, and they broadcast it on TV, and everyone believes that it was fake, or a fake war. And Robert De Niro in the end says, hey, he says, what do they believe? You know, the people, what do they believe? All they believe is what they see on TV, you know? And when you look at it, you know, ask yourself that question, you know? I mean, I think we all have to ask ourselves, what are we believing? Are we believing what we just see on YouTube? And what are we watching, you know? Are we looking at the other side of it? Are we trying to find out what the other argument is, what the other facts are? Or are we just going with the flow because YouTube's just gonna stuff it down your throat, man? You talk about flat Earth, and man, that's all you're going to see. You're going to see hundreds of videos of how it's, you know, that conspiracy is, you know, is true. So, anyway, I bring this up only because we all know that it's a huge issue and a huge problem that we have to navigate through, and to bring it, you know, into the realm of graphic design, I can see, you know, I know that you can see that it's very it's very easy to see how we can fall into this as graphic designers and working for different companies. So I think that we have to be just as you know, we have to scrutinize just as much who we're working for rather than just wanting to get work. You know, we always think that when we go on an interview, you know, they're scrutinizing us, but we have to scrutinize them because that's important to, you know, your future and your career. Now, you're not going to, you know, work for a company that gives you everything that you want or does everything that you believe in. But, you know, those companies like, you know, what Cindy was talking about, I mean, they're out there, and you got to run for the hills when you get an interview like that. No matter how much you need the money, you know, that's the whole thing. And that's another issue, and I'm not going to get into that, but, you know, the whole idea of the structure of our world and our world, our, you know, capitalist world. It's not just the United States, but it's the way many other countries operate. And when you have that system, a lot of these things are kind of inevitable. And but we have to, you know, we have to control it, and we have to be humane about it, like, you know, Tristan says. Okay. So anyway, this is the video that I'd like you to watch. There's going to be a quiz on this Sunday. Sunday will be basically the last day of class because that'll be the last assignment you turn in. Monday is officially the last day of this module. And the new module is going to start on Tuesday of next week. If you do get a chance to watch The Social Dilemma, it is a Netflix movie. I encourage you to watch that. I don't think it's anything that you really don't know, but I think we need to start seeing more of this if we're ever going to try and you know, solve the dilemmas that we're in. And it's getting worse and worse. And I don't really see it getting any better anytime soon, but I'm willing to be part of the solution rather than the problem. And, you know, yeah, tell your friends, you know, don't believe this crap that you're seeing, you know. I was the most gullible person coming from a pre-internet culture, okay? When the internet came out and Google came out and you had the ability to type in a question and get some kind of answer, I mean, I believed just about everything that I read. And I sat there just as gullible as any person can be. It was almost like, you know, because back in before the internet, we used to go to the dictionary, right, to get a definition of what that means, or go to an encyclopedia and look up, you know, that event, and we would believe what we read. I mean, it was the Encyclopedia Britannica, you know, I mean, the authority. I used to watch the news. And if Walter Cronkite, yeah, he mentions Walter Cronkite. You guys are too young for that, but I mean, he was like the authority of the news. You believed him. And now I rarely, I really don't believe a lot. I mean, I'm like at an arm's distance every time I hear stuff now. And he talks about AI. He talks about, these videos that are now coming out of, how we can manipulate faces and we can actually manipulate lips and make people look like they're actually saying stuff. And I mean, that's dangerous stuff now.
Yeah, like the deep fakes.
Yeah, the deep fakes. Mm-hmm.
Those are terrifying.
Yeah, and they're just so real too. So anyway, okay, it's a good discussion. It's something that we need to have, and even though yeah, it's difficult, and it's so much more difficult today than it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I don't know if we were more more naive, gullible and naive back then. And maybe we were. Maybe we were. The internet has also brought out a lot of truth and a lot of things that need to be addressed that we were just believing was the way things should be. So there's a lot of good. And I think that's exactly what this video is about. It's about how we're not talking about banning technology or because I also have a problem with saying that you're banned from Twitter or you're banned from Facebook. Okay, I mean some people need to be banned. Okay, but I also believe in the First Amendment. I believe this country was founded on the freedom of speech. Now I understand that speech can be dangerous. But I also believe that we have the ability as humans to reject it. And if it is something that needs to be said, it needs to be said. It can't be banned. I mean, this is not China and Russia where someone, in the White House can say, you can't say that. We're going to duct tape your mouth shut. I mean, that would be even worse than anything that I could possibly imagine. So, I'm not crazy about Nazis being able to march in the street. No, I don't like that any more than the next person does. But that's the way this system works, We have to navigate around it. And yeah, there's going to be companies that exploit you on the internet. I mean, that's not going to stop. But hopefully, we can be bring more awareness to that. And same in graphic design as far as how you approach it. So, okay, let me stop sharing the screen here. And any other comments that you want to make at all?
Thanks for talking about flat Earths and stuff, because this account is my Google account, so I'm gonna get ready for some flat Earth Google responses on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Always listen.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean that stuff's. I mean, it's such a fine line to walk, And like I told my dad always tells me, me and my dad talk about a lot of things. And I was telling him, I was like, I just can't see that side. He's like, well, you gotta see this side. I told him, like, I can see the side from like, conservative ideals and liberal, whatever. I got that. I was like, where I draw the line is when they stop looking at, when they view me as less than human. When they view me as less than them and less than human, that's when I draw the line. He was like,
sure, yeah.
I'm like, I was like, I can't. I was like, how am I? It's like then. At the end of the day, that's not a good faith argument. That's not a good faith anything. They don't think of me as a human. They think of me as less than them. I was like, once they do that, I can't. Like, it's impossible. And it's a really fine line to walk because, like, I have buddies that are, super traditionally conservative. Hold down. I mean, the trickle-down economics to the, Christian, the whole thing. And but like they're still rational. They're still like, okay, I'm normal. They still have their individuality. But it's such a like I'm always scared that they're gonna teeter off to one side, and then I have friends who are like the biggest hippies in the world, but I'm afraid they're gonna tip over to the wrong side, and it's just like I'm definitely trying to navigate my life here, and I'm excited for everything to open up, so people can stop having the access to like, infinite technology, infinite knowledge, infinite information just at their fingertips and all day long. You need a break. I go for a walk like for like 2 hours every day just so I can like turn everything off. I don't listen to anything. I might listen to music, but like nothing else. I don't listen to podcasts or anything just because it's information that I don't want to be consuming. So
Yeah, yeah. It's too much
also say hi to
information.
Lenny.
All this information
And say hi to Lenny. Go ahead. Sorry.
what's that?
I said go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, no. I'm yeah, I'm just saying that the information age is kind of run amok, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do the same thing. I try to as much as I can just put my phone down, and it's tempting. It's tempting, but yeah. Okay. Well, um, we will continue on. What do you guys? Where are you guys? Are you almost done? Are you about ready to graduate, or do you have more classes that you're taking? Do you know?
I think my last class is I should be graduating at the end of July. I gotta verify again. I
Okay.
think end of July or beginning of August I graduate.
Uh-huh. Okay. How about you, Steve?
Uh,
You're about done, aren't you?
I should be about done, but I'm not sure on the date.
Uh-huh.
Is there a day we're supposed to like get our cap and gown and stuff? Because I haven't heard anything about that.
If you haven't heard, I'm not sure what Black College is doing for graduation. I yeah, I would try and email. You might even email Patty. Patty might be more juiced into kind of administrative decisions. I know she is. I mean, I much more than I am. And she'd probably give you, maybe some insight as to what they're planning on doing. I know last year it didn't seem like they definitely didn't have a graduation, a physical graduation, but I'm not even sure that they did a lot of schools are doing kind of a Zoom graduation type thing.
Mm.
And so maybe that's something that's in the works or what they're planning. I know at Platt College, I mean, I go down there every 2 weeks uh, just to kind of pick up my paycheck. But and lately, last week when I went down there, the parking lot is full. They are having classes at Platt College, physical in-person classes. Uh, Obviously, you know, um, not graphic design, but for medical assisting and some of the other programs, I think they're labs, and they
Mm.
have to have the labs because the students actually have to use the equipment, and there's no other place that they can do that but on campus. So I think the way that Platt is set up right now is that some labs are meeting in person, but I still think most of the education is being conducted online. Now we had a memorandum saying that the graphic design department is probably going back in August. Now you guys will probably be done by that time, but that's the soonest that I heard that we're going to be going back, on campus. So as far as graduation is concerned, yeah, you might want to check. You might want to mention it to Patty and see if she has any information on that.
Gotcha.
Um, it would be really cool if you guys could at least do a Zoom type graduation.
Yeah, I'm pretty mellow when it comes to all that stuff. I'm never really. I don't really care about all the bells and whistles. I just want like my mom and dad want that photo, you know.
Yeah. Well, I missed my graduation and I kind of regret it, actually. I had the same kind of attitude when I graduated college that, I just give me my degree and I'll be happy, I'm going to just give it to my mom anyway, and, she'll be happy. But when my son graduated and he had this big graduation in Riverside at a football stadium, I kind of thought, dang it, man. That's one thing that I don't have a record of. I don't even have a picture of me in a cap and gown. It's like,
Yeah,
dang.
I have to get that. I gotta get that once because
Oh,
like
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
my mom and dad have photos of like they have all my brother and my two younger sisters, myself of graduation, and then like the thing we did in high
yeah.
school. But then I joined the Navy, so they have like a picture of me and like my blues
Yeah.
doing that thing, and then so but they want to like change out my high school graduation for
hmm
my plat
What
graduation.
what I really think they should do is that once they do um, start in-person graduations again, I don't know, maybe it'll have to be until next year, but that they invite all of those people that didn't get that opportunity to participate in that. And maybe some will and maybe some won't. They'll be graduated for over a year and maybe they'll just go, eh. But
Yeah,
at least they'll be able to, kind of uh, post graduation,
mm,
um, participate in and get pictures taken and walk across the stage and get their diploma. And, I mean, you guys deserve that. You definitely deserve that. So, and hopefully they'll do that. But, okay. I will see you guys on Thursday. And then I will post a discussion question for tomorrow. So look for that in the discussions. And then Sunday will just be a quiz. Probably won't be any more than 10, 12 questions on that, but it'll be based on that video. So watch the video, on your own time. It's interesting. It's a very interesting and informative video that looks into a lot of data and facts about what is happening to us in these algorithms and AI that companies are, sticking in front of us. And it kind of makes you a little upset about things. At least it does for me. It's like, it makes me not want to, click on any of these recommendations. And yet I do, I do. I'm just a sucker for it, I've got
there's
that,
some that are too resistible.
you know. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys.